Welcome back to patreon.com/Derrick Lamon Experience, your one-stop shop for your gaming news, as well as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, etc. This is the Week in Gaming. Of course, the show does post on Saturday afternoons at 2 p.m. on Patreon. Patrons get first crack, and then it goes to the free feeds on Monday mornings at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time. Hopefully, everybody had a good week. Just want to say that PlayStation 5 Pro pre-orders did go out. I'm recording this on Thursday night. The remaining pre-orders, PlayStation Direct was a couple of weeks ago. The remaining pre-orders for the retail partners, Target, Walmart, Amazon, Best Buy, those went live today. I saw that there were actually quite a few available if you jumped right in the queue, so you guys shouldn't have to worry about that if you were looking for one. They even had the PlayStation 5 Pro 30th edition bundle. Homeboy KG was trying to get his hands on one, so I made sure that the right people sent him the link so he can take care of that. I'm still in touch with some people trying to get one um, in a different manner. It is going to be legal, but I'm just, weighing the options and things like that. I do want to at least crack one open and see what this thing is made of. It's supposed to be very, very powerful. Powerful. I'm sorry, and I really want to be able to do a review on it and stuff. So I'm still in contact with some people, and I will let you guys know at the appropriate time. Anyway, of course, this is the Week in Gaming. My name, of course, is Derrick Lamont Jackson. Again, welcome. Welcome. I thank you for your patronage, and if you're listening on the free feeds, just make sure you hit that follow or subscribe button on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Amazon Music, wherever you're listening to this. I thank you very much. We're going to kick this off with grain of salt, of course. Everything that I say here in this segment of the show, I want you to take it with a grain of salt because nothing has been confirmed as of yet. To start it off, apparently, this comes. I forget the account. I wanted to make sure I referenced the account, but it is what it is. Sorry about that. Tweet says, yes, the rumors are true. God of War Greek Saga Remastered, not the actual title in parentheses, is in the works at Santa Monica Studios and Nixus Software. Now, remember, Nixus was hired on to be the PlayStation PC arm to basically port PlayStation first party studio titles over to PC. It seems that the Horizon Zero Dawn remaster that's coming to the PlayStation 5 at the end of this month, that was done not only for the PC by Nixus, but also for the PlayStation 5. So Nixus is probably getting really, really crafty with PlayStation hardware. But apparently they're behind this as well. The development is finished and they are just waiting for an announcement release. Um, Releasing in 2025 with an announcement in anywhere from December to March. So I'm going to say this again, take this with a grain of salt. We have no way of knowing if this is true or not. This could just be people on the internet bumping their gums. I will say this: the Game Awards are in December. If they were going to make an announcement anywhere in December, that would be the place you would want to. But it says December to March, so I don't know. If you enjoy the first few God of War games, then this is definitely something you want to run into. I have God of War 3 remastered in my PlayStation library. Um, it's a bit different because I didn't play the original God of War games. I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you guys like I'm the biggest Kratos fan. I saw the reboot at E3 that year where they unveiled it, and I was like, okay, if this is what God of War is, then I'm sold. I just never played a God of War game before. So that was my first time jumping in with God of War 2018 and God of War Ragnarok. But I have heard great things. Again, I did win a copy of God of War 3 Remastered for PlayStation 4. It's in my library. I keep meaning to sit down and play it, but I just never seem to find the time. So at some point, I am going to jump on that and check it out. Um, but again, take this with a grain of salt until it gets actually confirmed. We don't know if this thing is true or not, right? So that's why I always give you guys that disclaimer to start the show. Take everything in this portion of the show with a grain of salt, and then I'll let you know when the actual things are happening. Other news that I want you to take with a grain of salt. Apparently, Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag remake has been leaked. It is coming as soon as November of 2025. Insider Gaming has seen gameplay of Edward on the Jackdaw and the upgraded engine. The date shifted after Assassin's Creed Shadows was delayed till February of next year. Apparently, and now they've come out and said this is not true. Tencent and the Gameau family are reportedly looking at buying out of Ubisoft. It's come out since then that that was not at all true. Multiple games have underperformed in sales this year. Now that is true actually. The company has lost more than half its market value this year. Ubisoft has been looking really, really shaky as of late. Things aren't looking too good. So I don't know if they're trying to buy out. Video games is still a very, very profitable business. The only problem is that everybody's trying to do the follow the leader thing, and they're trying to get a multiplayer online game with a battle pass that keeps people continuously coming back and spending money. Everybody was chasing Fortnite, and I've told you guys again and again and again, Fortnite was an anomaly. That was not supposed to happen. It just wasn't. They struck lightning and then they kept pushing their product the way they knew how. Everybody else has tried to pivot to the formula and it hasn't worked. Rocksteady was doing great at making games in the Batman Arkham universe. And then Warner Brothers is like, yeah, but we should do something that's an online game, always online, battle pass, we can sell cosmetics, etc., etc. And then they took one of the great studios in video game development and relish them to a point that nobody like people don't care. That's how bad like Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League was just not a good game. And when we first saw the gameplay at that PlayStation State of Play, I remember saying to myself, they're destroying a phenomenal gaming studio because Rocksteady is a phenomenal studio. Will they rebound from this? I sure as fucking hope so, but I don't know. I really don't know. So, um, I'm sorry I got off on a tangent. I tend to do that here, but yeah, everybody's chasing that formula. So we know that's why Ubisoft was going this way. And yeah, we do know some titles definitely underperformed. Star Wars Outlaws definitely did not perform the way it was supposed to. But again, this is somebody acquiring a Disney license for a game like Star Wars, which is a big license, right? Remember how much Disney, I don't remember the exact amount Disney paid for it, but it was in the billions, right? Generally, if you put Star Wars on anything, it's an anticipated game for the year. That game just didn't perform well. It just did not perform well. And then you have Assassin's Creed Shadows getting delayed, and it's crazy because the delay is announced at TGS, and then also that same week we see the Ghost sequel by Sucker Punch Studios. When I saw Assassin's Creed Shadow, I was like, it reminds me of a Ubisoft. It is basically Ubisoft Ghost of Tsushima. Even the HUD looked like it's like, damn, that's really, really close to what Ghost of Tsushima's HUD looks like, right? And then like I'm not saying it's a coincidence or like I'm sorry, I'm saying it is a coincidence or maybe they knew something. I don't know. They said they want to give the game more time to be polished and stuff like that. That's never a bad thing, but it didn't look good. I will say that. So I don't know what they're gonna do over at Ubisoft, but they have to figure it out. They really, really have to figure it out because the legacy is on the line and they're going to find themselves being in a position where people are just not going to look at them anymore as one of those go-to studios. Somebody else who has their legacy online, Bethesda. The Starfield Shattered Space DLC launched, and the reviews are absolutely horrible. The highest rating it got was a 9 from Xbox Era, which is a Xbox centric, you know, outlet, right? So of course, IGN gave it a 7, Vandal gave it a 7, Forbes gave it a 6.5, Jukes Video gave it a 6, Pure Xbox gave it a 5, GameBlog 5, Game Rant 4, Metro Game Central 4, Digitech 4 out of 5, Windows Central 4 out of 5, Eurogamer 3 out of 5, Games Radar 3 out of 5, and The Guardian 2 out of 5. Their Metacritic score at the time of recording this is 57. Their Open Critic score at the time of recording this is also 57. That DLC just, you know, it wasn't something I was really going to play in the first place. Um, but at the same time, I did not want to see that game do bad. Um, I think that the crazy thing is the conversation around Starfield and what it was going to be. Everybody's like, it's going to be Fallout in space. It's going to be amazing. And me, little old me, I'm just like, I never thought Fallout was that amazing. So I don't know why everybody's grasping at these straws. And I'm like, I'm gonna try it because it is in space and I love games with space travel and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, it's okay. I gave it a 7 out of 10. I just said it's not for me. But that doesn't make it a bad game. This expansion just does not sound like it was good in my opinion. And apparently I'm not the only one. So you have to start asking yourself, did Microsoft bite off more than they could chew in acquiring Bethesda ZeniMax? Also, the situation with Activision Blizzard isn't absolutely great. Microsoft spent nearly $80 billion to be almost in the same position that they were in before they made those acquisitions. The only difference is they're $80 million, $80 billion poor, as opposed to $80 billion richer. So it's like maybe you hurt yourself more than you helped yourself with this situation and with those acquisitions. And they're going to start taking stock of what's going on up there. Keep in mind, they've laid off quite a large amount of people since that Activision Blizzard acquisition was finished about this time last year. Look at where Microsoft is from the minute the deal was closed last year to where they are now. They're not in a better situation. And anybody that tells you they are is out of their freaking mind. That's just not a reality. So you have to wonder, what are they going to do? Are people going to start looking at Phil Spencer like, you owe us a lot of money? Or like, did they really make Sarah Bond the fall guy or fall girl in this position? Um, I remember when they came out and they announced the 4 games they were gonna, be ported to other systems, aka PlayStation. And everybody's like, they made that woman get up there. They made that black woman get up there during Black History Month and do this. This is so ridiculous. And it's like, I'm not one to say stuff like that, but it's like, you know what? Now that I think about it, this looks absolutely insane that they paraded her up there during Black History Month and they've got her out here looking fucking crazy. And these are questions that should have been asked to Phil Spencer because he was in that position a lot longer. And it's not like those decisions were made at that point. They needed to see a return on their investment. I'm gonna say it till I'm fucking blue in the face. Those investors looked at them and looked at Phil and said, "I don't care about exclusives. We gave you a blank check and you spent $80 billion and we've got nothing to show for it, and we got to get that money back in blood, one way or the other." So you have to understand, if you're still console warring, number one, stop that. Number two, this is a business. Microsoft is in this to make money. Holding those games on Xbox is not going to make them money, right? That's the same reason all you guys at TGS was like, we're getting Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth on Xbox and the Pixel Remasters and Final Fantasy 16. Watch, bet money. Well, who told you that? I know a guy. Everybody's listening to Jez Corden. Yeah, they're coming. They're coming at TGS, mate. And then all you got was the Pixel Remasters, and everybody's like, what the fuck? Square Enix sucks. They suck for this. No, that was not going to happen. Microsoft does not sell enough consoles in Japan to warrant putting JRPGs on there. Right? The difference with Atlas and Persona and all that stuff, it's a lot different. Square Enix knows better. And that's why you got the Pixel Remasters. It's like, hey, you have these, and you start with these, and then you show us what we need to see. Because PlayStation only has exclusivity over Final Fantasy 16, I think, for a year, and we're actually past that year, if I'm not mistaken. I want to say we are. So it's like, well, what's your excuse now? And everybody's like, no, we're getting 7, and we're getting 7 Remake and Rebirth. We're gonna get all 3 once the third one comes out in just one big package. So like, just wait, guys. Let me tell you something. It's been said. PlayStation locked up console exclusivity for the first 2 parts of the series. The third part had yet to be, locked up, but they had already locked up console exclusivity on the first 2 parts. If they haven't locked it up for the third part, do you really want just the third entry of the game? Do you not? You just want to pop up in the middle of somewhere like, okay, well, let me finish this. Oh, well, I can buy, like, yeah, sure enough, you could buy the first 2 parts on PC, right? But then you might as well play the third part on PC as well. Like, for guys that are crying over that, like, oh well, PC is basically Xbox, then fucking play the games on PC. Just do it that way. You have a PC, you can play God of War, you play God of War Ragnarok, you can play Horizon Zero Dawn, you can fucking play Horizon Forbidden West, I think now. Like, there's a bunch of PC ports for PlayStation games. The Uncharted Legacy of Thieves collection, Spider-Man, Spider-Man Miles Morales, eventually you're gonna get Spider-Man 2. So stop bitching and stop moaning. Just fucking play the games on PC. Oh, well, you don't like that because you have to have a Sony account and they want you to sign in and blah 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 blah. This, that, and the third. And this is stupid. It's like, it's not really that big of a deal. You guys are making a fucking mountain out of a molehill, right? So I don't know. Do what the hell you want. But I always say, don't lock yourself into console exclusivity because it looks really fucking stupid, in my opinion. And that's been proven. An update on the Ubisoft situation. I'm sorry, I forgot that I had this link. This comes from VideoGamesChronicle.com. Ubisoft acknowledges buyout reports. Quote, we regularly review options. The Guillemot family and Tencent could reportedly take the company private. This would be interesting. Ubisoft has acknowledged a press report claiming that its founding Guillemot family is considered taking the company private with Tencent. Last week, Bloomberg sources claimed the Chinese conglomerate, which already owns around 10% of Ubisoft, and Guillemot Brothers Limited had been speaking with advisors to explore ways to stabilize Ubisoft following a year in which its market value has more than halved. One of the possibilities discussed would involve teaming up to take Ubisoft private, its claim, though talks were said to be at an early stage. The report caused Ubisoft's share price to increase by nearly 40% compared to a week earlier. In a statement given to VGC, the company said that it regularly reviews all its strategic options. Quote, Ubisoft has noted recent press speculation regarding potential interests around the company, a spokesperson said. It regularly reviews all of its strategic options in the interest of stakeholders and will inform the market if and when appropriate. The company reiterates that management is currently focused on executing a strategy centered on two core verticals: open world adventures and games as a service narrative experiences. That's a mistake, and that's why you're in the position you're in now. Last month, Ubisoft's share price dropped to its lowest point in nearly 11 years. The most recent dips follow Ubisoft's announcement that it had delayed Assassin's Creed Shadows and the disappointing launch performance of Star Wars Outlaws. Earlier in September, a minority investor called on Ubisoft's management to take the company private or let it be sold to a strategic investor. Hedge fund AJ Investments published an open letter calling for strategic and structural changes at Ubisoft. Um, like I said, no more than 5-10 minutes earlier, they've got to figure this out. They've got to figure this out. They should have never let it get this fucking bad. They really shouldn't. So, um, yeah, I don't know what to tell them. They're gonna have to figure this out though. But again, Star Wars Outlaws very underwhelming, and Assassin's Creed Shadows being delayed, that didn't help them. That definitely hurt them. So I don't know. We'll see what happens next. And news that we do have 100% confirmed, and this is very, very interesting. And when I found the link and it went to where it went, I was like, wait a minute, let me double check. And I'm like, no, that definitely says that. This is from Xbox.com on the Microsoft website. The future of Halo. Halo Studios, new name, new engine, new games, new philosophy. Ahead of the final match at today's 2024 Halo World Championship, we saw an unexpected video. It depicted landscapes you might expect from the Halo series Forerunner architecture, jutting from dramatic landscapes inspired by the Pacific Northwest. Um, Gorgeous fields of ice, even a vista blighted and consumed by the flood. We, of course, saw glimpses of the Master Chief and his iconic enemies, even a banshee arcing past the camera. But what we saw wasn't a look back. This was something entirely new. We're entering a new dawn for Halo. Those new visuals were created using Unreal Engine 5, and we learned that all future projects will use the engine and that multiple new games using it are in development. Alongside the engine change, the studios is seeing the change in culture, workflow, and how its teams are organized. To match the new approach, franchise stewards 343 Industries are changing their name. Halo Studios is here. Studio head Pierre Hens defines this less like a clean break and more like a turning of the page. Quote, if you really break Halo down, there have been two very distinct chapters. Chapter 1, Bungie. Chapter 2, 343 Industries. Now I think we have an audience which is hungry for more, so we're not going to try to improve the efficiency of development, but change the recipe of how we make Halo games. So we start a new chapter today. The first step, switching from the studio's proprietary Slipspace engine to Unreal, is a key part of that change. Previously, 343 Industries needed a large portion of its staff simply to develop and upkeep the engine its games ran on. Quote, we believe that the consumption habits of gamers have changed. The expectation of how fast their content is available, says Hens. On Halo Infinite, we were developing a tech stack that was supposed to set us up for the future and games at the same time. As gaming evolves and players increasingly point out how long it takes to see new games from their favorite series, the team at Halo Studios felt the need to react. As COO Elizabeth Van Wyck puts it, quote, the way we made Halo games before doesn't necessarily work as well for the way we want to make games for the future. So part of the conversation we had was about how we help the team focus on making games versus making the tools and the engines. I want to pause here. There's been a lot of conversation lately about AI being used to develop games and shortening development cycles. If it's really going to help, I am all for it. But you goddamn better have somebody absolutely impeccable doing QA on those games when AI is doing things and writing code for you and stuff like that. That's number one. I don't want to try to read jumble English. I don't want to see somebody with 8 fingers on one hand, you have got to make sure that you are on top of those things and that kind of stuff doesn't happen because people are using AI every day. They're creating Patrick, Starfish of SpongeBob singing the greatest hits of Mary J. Blige and shit like that. They're putting Peter Griffin in, what people would call drip, iced out chains and stuff like that. And that's all cute and shit for the internet. I don't want to spend $70 on a game and then find like glaring mistakes, like someone having 8 fingers on a hand. And that's not, a shot at anybody in the disabled community. But I'm just saying, we can't let that happen. You have to if you're going to use AI to develop video games to shorten the development cycle, that's cool. The QA cycle better be absolutely impeccable. You better find those mistakes. You better find those mistakes. I'm sorry. Alongside the wider changes to how the studio is set up, which you can read more about, adopting Unreal means Halo Studios is more able to create games with a focus that can satisfy fans, even setting up multiple teams to create different games simultaneously. But Unreal also comes with built-in benefits that would have taken years of work to replicate with Slipspace. Respectfully, some components of Slipspace are almost 25 years old. it tell me that they were not using the same engine from like the launch of Halo, like the very first Halo, because that would be about 25 years, right? Because the original Xbox came out when I was in college. I was about 19 or 20, and I am 42 now. So please tell me they are not using that same engine. Please. Some components of Slipspace are almost 25 years old, so some parts of the engine are that old. Okay, explains a lot. Respectfully, some components of Slipspace are almost 25 years old, explains studio art director Chris Matthews. Although 343 were developing it continuously, there are aspects of Unreal that Epic has been developing for some time which are unavailable to us in Slipspace and would have taken huge amounts of time and resources to try and replicate. One of the primary things we're interested in is growing and expanding our world so more players have more to interact with and more to experience. Nanite and Lumen, Unreal's rendering and lighting technologies, offers us an opportunity to do that in a way that the industry hasn't seen before. As artists, it's incredibly exciting to do that work. There's another built-in benefit. Unreal is familiar to huge parts of the wider gaming industry. And this is coded for saying the wider gaming industry, more than just Xbox and PC. So all the rumors about there being Halo games coming to PlayStation 5 and 6 and beyond kind of looks like we're heading there. Just want to let you guys know it definitely kind of looks like we are heading there. Hope everybody's paying attention. Let's continue. Um Where developers would have to spend time learning how to use Slipspace when joining 343, Halo Studios' adoption of the industry leading engine makes it a far smoother process to bring in new talent, and the studio is indeed hiring for new projects now. It's not just about how long it takes to bring a game to market, but how long it takes for us to update the game, bring new content to players, adapt to what we're seeing our players want, says Van Wyck. Part of that is in how we build the game, but another part is in recruiting. How long does it take to ramp somebody up to be able to actually create assets that show up in your game? With the move to Unreal, the on ramp is shorter. The experiences there in the series can grow far more quickly and organically than ever before. Forging ahead, Forging ahead, I'm sorry. Of course, Halo Studios needs to be confident in the switch to Unreal. This isn't a decision taken lightly. The team had to be sure that the first Halo games to come out of the non-slipspace engine will look, feel, and sound right. The team began experimenting, and it resulted in a research project known as Project Foundry, the source for all the new clips we saw today. When we decided to do Foundry, it wasn't at that point in our plan, says Van Wyck, but we needed to pause and validate is not the right word, but educate and understand what our capability is and assess it so we can actually know we're on the right path. We've intentionally been really quiet up to this point, but I think today is about just sharing where we are, what our priorities as a studio, what are our priorities as a studio, and where the team is. We're really proud of what came out of Foundry. So, what does Foundry represent? The team is clear that this is not a new game, but nor is it a traditional tech demo. It's just an exploration of what's possible with the engine. It's a true reflection of what will be required for a new Halo game using Unreal, and a training tool for how to get there. Foundry has been made with the same rigor, process, and fidelity as a shipped game would be. Where this type of work's been done historically across the industry, it can contain a lot of smoke and mirrors, explains Matthews. It sometimes leads players down paths where they believe it's going to be one thing and something else happens. The ethos of Foundry is vigorously the opposite of that. Everything we've made is built to the kind of standards that we need to build for the future of our games. We are very intentional about not stepping into the tech demo territory. We build things that we truly believe in, and the content that we've built, or at least a good percentage of it, could travel anywhere inside our games in the future if we so desire it. Hence goes further, it's fair to say that our intent is that the majority of what we showcased in Foundry is expected to be in projects which we are building or future projects. And what we've seen of Foundry promises incredible things. Named after the Foundry within Halo's lore, the central forge of the megastructure used to create the Halo rings themselves, the project saw the team set out to create three distinct biomes in the style of Halo. The goal, as Matthews puts it, to make something old, something new, and something truly alien. For something old, we see a biome inspired by the Pacific Northwest, a staple of the series, but in a dramatic new form. Waterfalls crash over mountains, a running creek becomes the site of a tableau, pitching the chief against two Covenant elites, and the team pushed Unreal to include as much foliage as technically possible. For something new, we would see the Coldlands location, a region locked in a deep freeze with snowdrifts covering plateaus and ice reflecting what's above and refracting what's below. And for something alien, we see the Blightlands, a brand new take on a Halo location, a world consumed by the parasitic flood. The express purpose of the Blightlands was to see how this new look Halo team could push the world itself further than the previous Halo games. The results speak for themselves. There's a lot more, and I'm not going to keep going. Um, hmm. As you might expect, the team isn't talking exactly about exactly what those new games will be right now. We're at the beginning of this new chapter, not the final stages. So you're not going to get a Halo game for a while, it seems like. What is clear that yes, it's Halo games plural in development right now, where Halo Infinite saw practically the entire studio focus on a single evolving project. Halo Studios has recalibrated. We had a disproportionate focus on trying to create the conditions to be successful in servicing Halo Infinite, says Hint. Switching to Unreal allows us to put all the focus on making multiple new experiences at the highest quality possible. Um, So there's new Halo games coming. That's number one. The wider gaming industry, that says to me 100% that those games will be on other platforms, namely the PlayStation 5 or PlayStation 6. It won't just be Xbox and PC. It will be more than likely PlayStation. Nintendo, the only way I think that it could work is if they ran on the cloud, which they've done, but you're not going to get the same experience. You would have to have really top tier internet, which even if you could, you're still not going to get the same experience. I'm letting you know that right now. Um, I mean, congrats to them. Kudos to them. They're pivoting at their studio. They're figuring out what the players want, and they're making that work within their walls. Um, Hopefully, this is for the betterment of them. I know people who are really, really dedicated to Halo, and I know a lot of people who weren't really gamers who got into gaming in college because people are having Halo tournaments and stuff like that. Some of my best friends did that stuff. Like they're like, "What are you guys doing on your campus?" Well, this is what we're doing. Oh, we're over here playing Halo. I'm like, "What the fuck is Halo?" They're like, "Yeah, we do a LAN party. We hook up a bunch of Xboxes via a LAN connection, and everybody's just like we're all in our own dorm room shooting each other and shit like that." And they made it seem like the coolest shit in the world. I didn't get into the Xbox until the 360 because it came to market a year before the PlayStation 3. I've had every Xbox since then, but I never really got into Halo. So I know a lot of people are really, really thirsty for new Halo content. It seems like they're going to get it, and they're going to get multiple games. So I'm happy for them on that end. It seems like they're very happy about this journey that they're on. So it's no longer 343 Industries. It is now Halo Studios, and expect to see more from them in the future. In other news, this coming from PlayStationLifestyle.net, big PlayStation remasters apparently planned. This is going to be that generation for PlayStation because it seems that first party studios, other than we now know what Sucker Punch has been working on, we assume Naughty Dog is working on the new IP, and maybe we'll get The Last of Us Part 6 and the PlayStation 6. I'm sorry, The Last of Us Part 3 on the PlayStation 6. I don't know. We still haven't seen. There was that secret studio that everybody thought was working on a new Uncharted game. We don't know what the fuck Bluepoint is working on. Housemark, Returnal's out there, so what are they working on? What has Sony been working on? All these questions for all these studios, and they're not being answered. And it seems like this is just the generation for remasters on PlayStation. Sony has quote big PS5 and certainly PS6 remasters planned. If a statement by Nix's software employee is anything to go by, following the announcement of Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered for PS5 and PC, which is in development at Nix's, a dev suggested that the studio will work on more of such projects. Let me pause right there. It is not in development. They would have to be done. That game is coming on October 31st. I know that because I paid my $10 to upgrade from the PlayStation 4 copy to the PlayStation 5 remastered copy. That game cannot still be in development. Maybe tiny little things, but that game has to be done. That game has got to be gold by now if they're planning to ship on October 31st. If they had said coming soon, I would say yeah, it's probably still in development. They gave us a definitive date that was about a month out from the state of play. So that game has got to be done pretty much. It's got to be ready to go gold. Expect more PS5 and PS6 remasters, but don't get your hopes up for Bloodborne. For you Bloodborne fans, I'm sorry. I don't know. I'm not a Bloodborne fan, so it doesn't, it means nothing to me. Screenshot of a week-old LinkedIn post by the aforementioned Nix's dev was published on Reset Air, with the poster understandably redacting their name and position to avoid putting them in the spotlight unnecessarily and getting fired. After 5 PlayStation PC ports, the first big PlayStation content project from Nix's software is coming up, the post reads. The project being referred to here is the HZD remaster. The dev mentioning that it's the first big PlayStation content project for Nix's has fans convinced that there are more of these in the works. This shouldn't come as a surprise because in June of 2023, Nix's software Cohen Frunfelder confirmed in an official video that the studio was working more and more in creating remasters. It looks like the studio, which specializes in PC ports, is also moving back to console development. So it seems like they're taking the place of Bluepoint. So, because Bluepoint said they were going to be working on original IP. That didn't mean one of their original IPs. It could be another PlayStation IP, but I don't know. I guess we shall see. Yeah, I could do without. I want new IP. Maybe not even totally new IP. I just want new games in certain franchises. The Last of Us deserves a final ending, right? It deserves a conclusion. It should be a trilogy. Um Sony Bend, I don't know what the fuck you're working on, but I would like to find out soon enough. Like it's been a while, right? It's been a while. What is Kratos going to do next? Where is Aloy going to go next? Astrobot is out there. It's getting Game of the Year consideration. What's next from Insomniac outside of the Spider-Man universe? We know that Wolverine is coming at some point. Are we really going to get that Venom DLC? These are all questions that do need to be answered. They really do need to be answered, but this is not the time for more remasters and stuff like that to fill the calendar. I'm sorry. It really feels like everybody's like, no, Jim Ryan got fired, and it's like I'm leaning more towards that being a thing because the games as a service thing was definitely Jim Ryan's push. Not to say that Herman Holst is the best leader of PlayStation either. He certainly has his shortcomings, but I'm starting to wonder if this is going to be the lost generation of PlayStation hardware. Like new hardware, remaster, PlayStation 5 Pro coming. Of course, I'm gonna play Metal Gear Solid Delta on the PS5 Pro. Of course, I'm gonna play Final Fantasy VII Rebirth again on the PS5 Pro. These things are all going to happen, but at the same time, where is your new IP? Not even totally new IP. Where are new games in existing franchises? We just got Astrobot. Where's the rest of the stuff? That Phantom Studio that's supposed to be working on the new Uncharted game, I don't believe that shit anymore because we ain't heard nothing. I'm just gonna say it, so I don't know. And then lastly, Golden Joystick Awards 2024. They're out there. So the nominations. Here we go. So this comes from Games Radar. Have you ever disagreed with Game of the Year lists? Well, now is your chance to help shape them. Game Radar is happy to confirm that voting is live for the 42nd annual Golden Joystick Awards. That's interesting because I'm 42. So the Golden Joystick Awards started the same year I was born, is what this is telling me. That's awesome. Anyway, whether your input will help create conversations around the best video games of the year, voting is now live in 19 categories, including Console Game of the Year, PC Game of the Year, Best Multiplayer Game, and more. If you want to have your say, you've got until Friday, the 1st of November, to make your opinions heard. This year, new categories have been introduced, such as Best Soundtrack, Best Audio Design, and Best Indie Game, self-published as we look to celebrate a wider range of releases from 2024. There's plenty to go through, but here are some of the highlights you might find interesting. Astrobot and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth lead the shortlist with 5 nominations each, followed by Helldivers 2 with 4 nominations, and Balatro with 3 nominations. Naturally, Dragon's Dogma 2 and Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree made the shortlist, as well as scores of other amazing games. If you're wondering whether I'm sorry, if you're wondering where Ultimate Game of the Year is, don't worry. That shortlist will go live Monday, November 4th, with voting in that category opening the same day. The winners for all the categories will be revealed in a star-studded award ceremony in central London and live streamed globally on Thursday, November 21st of 2024. So that's the week before Thanksgiving. So we're going to have a show the week before Thanksgiving. You'll have Thanksgiving week off, and then the Game Awards is going to be the first week of December. You can check out the full Golden Joystick Awards categories for 2024 and shortlist on gamesradar.com. And then be sure to head over to the official page to cast your votes. It's well worth doing. Not only will you make your voice heard in the world's longest running public voted games award show, but you'll also be able to claim a free gaming ebook created by our friends here at Future. Some of the nominations: Best Storytelling, 1000 Time Resist, Emo, The Smiling Man, Famicom Detective Club, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth, Lorelei and Laser Eyes, Tactical Breach Wizards. Best multiplayer game, Abiotic Factor, EA Sports College Football 25. Well, that's my vote right there. Helldivers 2, Sons of the Forest, Tekken 8 in the finals. Best visual design, Astrobot, Black Myth, Wukong, Harold Halibut, Metaphor ReFantasio, Sinuous Saga Hellblade 2, Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine 2. Best indie game, Animal Well, Arco, Balatro, Beyond Galaxy Land, Conscript, Indica, Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, Thank Goodness You're Here, The Plucky Squire, and Ultros. Best indie game self-published, Arctic Eggs, Another Crab's Treasure, Crow Country, Duck Detective, The Secret Salami, I'm Your Beast, Little Kitty, Big City, Riven, Tactical Breach, Wizards, Tiny Glade, UFO 50, Still Playing Award, PC and console, Apex Legends, Counter-Strike 2, EA Sports FC, Dota 2, Fortnite, GTA Online, Minecraft, Naraka Blade Point, Roblox, Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege, Valorant, Warframe. Still Playing Award Mobile, Call of Duty Warzone Mobile. I love Call of Duty Warzone Mobile. Free Fire, Honkai Star Rail, Roblox, Marvel Snap, Monopoly Go, Mini Motorways, PUBG Battlegrounds, Squad Busters, Star Wars Hunters, Subway Surfers, The Sims Mobile. Studio of the Year, 11-Bit Studios, Arrowhead Game Studios, Capcom, Digital Eclipse, Team Asobi, and Visual Concepts. Best Game Expansion, Alan Wake 2 Expansion Pass, Destiny 2 The Final Shape, Diablo 4 Vessel of the Hatred, Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree, God of War Ragnarok Valhalla, World of Warcraft, The War Within. Best Audio Design, Astrobot, Balatro, Robot Beat, Sinuous Saga, Hellblade 2, Star Wars Outlaw, Still Wakes the Deep. Best Soundtrack, A Highland Song, Astrobot, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Haunty, Silent Hill 2, Shin Megami Tensei 5, Vengeance. Best Lead Performer, Cody Christian as Cloud Strife in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Kaji Tang as Ichiban Kazuka in Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. Humberly Gonzalez as Kay Vess in Star Wars Outlaws. Luke Roberts as James Sunderland in Silent Hill 2. Melina Jurgens as Senua in Senua's Saga Hellblade 2. Sonequa Martin Green as Alvida in Asgard's Wrath 2. Best Supporting Performer, Abby Greenland and Helen Golan as the Furies in Senua's Saga Hellblade 2. Brianna White as Aerith Gainsborough in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Dawn M. Bennett as Aegis in Persona 3 Reload. Deborah Wilson as Amanda Waller in Suicide Squad. That's surprising, but shout out Deborah Wilson. She's an amazing actress. Matt Berry as Herbert and Thank Goodness You're Here. Neve McIntosh as Suze and Still Wakes the Deep. PC Game of the Year, Animal Well, Balatro, Frostpunk 2, Satisfactory, Tactical Breach, Wizards, UFO 50. Console Game of the Year, Astrobot, Dragon's Dogma 2, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Helldivers 2, Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown, The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. Best Early Access Game, Enshrouded, Deep Rock Galactic Survivor, Hades 2, Manor Lords, Lethal Company, Pal World. They're being sued, so that'll be interesting. Best Gaming Hardware, Asus ROG Zephyrus G14, Backbone 1, 2nd Gen, I have a Backbone, LG Ultra Gear, NVIDIA GeForce RTX 4070 Super, Turtle Beach Stealth Ultra Steam Deck OLED. Best Game Trailer, Caravan Sandwich Launch Trailer, Death Stranding 2 on the Beach, State of Play, Helldivers 2, The Fight for Freedom Begins, Kingmaker's Official Announcement Trailer, Sid Meier's Civilization 7, The Plucky Squire Launch Trailer. I guess, wait a minute. How was Grand Theft Auto 6 not in this category? Because it came in December. That trailer launched, it was supposed to be December 6th, and it got leaked on December 5th. But the Joystick Awards would have already happened at this point. So how is Grand Theft Auto 6 not in this category? That is mind-boggling, because that is the most viewed video game trailer of all time on YouTube. That is insane. That is absolutely insane. Most wanted game: Adamfall, Assassin's Creed Shadows, Sid Meier's Civilization 7, Claire Obscura Expedition 33, Deadlock, Death Stranding 2 on the Beach, Doom: The Dark Ages, Exodus, Fable, Ghost of Yotai, Grand Theft Auto 6, Hollow Knight, Silk Song, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, Light No Fire, Mafia: The Old Country, Monster Hunter Wild, Skate, Slay the Spire 2, and South of Midnight. So those are your nominees for the Golden Joystick Awards, the 42nd annual edition of the Golden Joystick Awards, and I'm in my 42nd annual year as myself. That's all I got for you guys today. I will put the link for voting on the Golden Joystick Awards. I'm definitely going to hop on over and vote myself as a gamer. I'm going to end this like I end everything else. Of course, believe in yourself first and foremost, because if you don't believe in yourself, of course, ladies and gentlemen, nobody else will believe in you. As always, that is my time. My name is Derrick Lamon Jackson, and y'all make sure y'all have a good one. Peace out.